Oh
my
no.
God.
Love them. Don't care. Top
I
shelf.
mean, you can't screw it up. It's 3 ingredients.
I'd rather have gin, period.
I think it has potential. Just this version is garbage.
Dump it. Like if it's vodka, I don't want it.
How is that a drink? Like there's just not enough there.
It's definitely one of those cocktails where the name is better than the drink.
The name is terrible. Dump it.
Dump it.
Whenever somebody says sex on the beach, I just think of sand in areas. No.
Is there anything above the top shelf?
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Through the Mixing Glass. My name is Joel. Thank you so much for joining us for another one of our cocktail tier rankings. Today, we are joined by special guests Carl and Riley from the Alchemix Bar. Carl and Riley, how are you guys doing today?
Doing great, Joel. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I feel like a
Thank you
CNN interview, like live interview right now.
Yeah, exactly. I want this to feel like maximum pressure at all times, so please don't relax and have a good time.
Perfect. That's how I like it.
So Carl and Riley, why don't you tell anyone out there who may not be familiar what your channel is like, what kind of videos you guys like to do, what's your whole deal?
Basically, we like to do videos where we compare spirits and compare those spirits in cocktails.
Yeah, and I mean we're not limited to spirits. We do ingredients as well.
Yeah.
And we basically try to decide what's best in which cocktail.
Yeah. Sometimes we is more expensive worth it, or we show you the relevance of. So let's say I buy a cheap, medium, high-end tequila. We sample the tequila. I make a margarita or some other tequila cocktail. She blind taste tests it to see if she can tell the difference. Is it more expensive worth it?
Does the high-end stuff normally win, or can you get by with budget brands? Like, what have you guys found so far?
The answer I tell everyone is sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. You know, like, are we picking a 3-ingredient cocktail that has 2 ounces of tequila, or are we doing a 6-ingredient cocktail that only has 3/4 of tequila in it? So,
And then even deeper into that,
Yeah.
it is what is the spirit that we are comparing.
right.
Vodka absolutely does not matter.
Does not
Does
matter.
not matter. Fleischmann's is the best in the cocktails that we found, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what, $7?
$7, $8, yeah, something like that. So,
Generally speaking, if you can find a good mid-range
right.
spirit that you like, that's your best bet.
That's actually, I love hearing that because that's normally what I look for. That's normally the price
Yeah.
range I'm shopping in. You guys ready to get started ranking some cocktails?
We are.
We are ranking disco drinks.
Oh no.
God. Did you pick this because of our cocktail video?
Yeah, I
Like
picked this because
all
you
of
guys
it.
did the cocktail bartender's poet poem or whatever it was called.
Last barman poet, yeah.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like,
Wow.
okay, there it is. That's our category.
I hope we don't get like put in a corner now for
Right.
for all our videos. For doing
That's
that.
our niche now. We have to do only disco
Only.
drinks.
Our first drink is a White Russian, which honestly, like for what I know is coming down the pike, this might be a decently like drinkable drink in this list here. But how do you guys feel about a White Russian?
I love them.
To me, a White Russian is a top shelf sip. When you want a White Russian, it is perfect for what it is. It
Yeah.
hits the notes that you want it to hit, and it really can't get better if you want like a sweet end to your night.
Yeah, and even my favorite version of the recipe is using Mr. Black and not Kahlua, and then also using oat milk. For some reason, that combination with obviously the vodka, I enjoy that more than just the Kahlua cream one. But
It makes it taste like cereal milk.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So you mentioned, Riley, at the end, like it's an end of the night drink for you. Is there like, or are there other scenarios in which you would drink a White Russian? Like you wouldn't want to drink this on like a hot day when you're outside or something like that, probably, right?
I mean, the oat milk version, I might, because it's a little bit
Oh,
lighter,
really?
and if it's sweet enough and it's cold enough, then I can drink it anytime. It's like ice cream,
Yeah.
and I always want ice cream. So
And we've had White Russians at 8 in the morning at a diner before,
Yes.
and that was pretty fantastic, you know?
Yep,
So
it's a good
A
cocktail
diner White
replacement
Russian.
if
I can
you're-
feel like all of the cocktail YouTubers like, at that.
It wasn't a diner. It was a dive bar that served breakfast.
yes, that's how
Oh,
that's
okay.
really the truth of it. Yeah, sorry. But yeah.
You know, that sounds
we love
okay
our
though,
White
like-
Russians.
Setting is very important for a lot of drinks, and I feel like dive bar breakfast would be a good one for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't screw it up. It's 3 ingredients.
And I mean, even if you do screw up a White Russian, it's drinkable.
Mhm.
So that's, to me, that is another thing that makes this specific cocktail good. This is not the rule for all cocktails, but because you really can't mess it up, it's top shelf for me because I can order it anywhere and I know what I'm getting.
Yep.
Okay. Carl, you good with top shelf as well?
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
We're 1 for
Next
1,
up-
babe.
1 for 1. All right. Next up, we have an Amaretto Sour. How do you guys feel about an Amaretto Sour?
Okay, so the question is, are we talking the original one or are we talking the Jeffrey Morgenthaler one?
I love the Jeffrey Morgenthaler one, but since we're talking disco drinks, I feel like we need to
I
go
figured.
with the OG.
Yeah. I figured so. Just got to get that clarification out there, you know.
Honestly, I'd rather have a beer.
That's exactly what I was gonna say too. But then it's like, okay, so like, see, this is the bartender side of me. Now, okay, we're talking that way. Are we using like generic sour mix that they would, or are we actually gonna use fresh lemon juice and fresh simple syrup with them? You know, like
No, it's a dive bar. They're
the dive
pouring
bar.
finest call neon yellow amaretto or sour mix.
We know it would come with the fake maraschino cherries too, right? Like the neon red ones. Definitely not the Luxardos like in the picture here.
Yeah, it's a really good. That picture's throwing me off because I want that one.
That is a good looking one.
Yeah, I would say rather have a beer. I think
they're throwing all the ingredients into the shaker. They're tumbling it, dirty dumping it into the glass and giving it to you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame though, because like, you know, like we've been saying, the Morgenthaler version one is delicious. There are a lot of really good ways to make an Amaretto Sour. It's just a shame that like its name is associated with bad versions for most people.
Right. But you know, hey, as bartenders, we fix one Amaretto Sour customer at a time. So
love it. Okay, next up we have a stinger. So the recipe here is 2 ounces of cognac with 1 ounce of white creme de menthe. Looks like it's served on the rocks there too. I gotta be honest, this does not sound particularly good to me. Have you guys ever even had one?
No.
I mean, maybe back in the day, like 10 years ago, but there's no way I would like it today. I would dump bucket.
I mean,
I could see it
working.
I
can see how it might be okay.
Right.
So like in this scenario, since I've never had it, this goes into like, if it's a happy hour special, I might try it.
Right.
But otherwise.
But you gotta remember, that's not the category.
I know. But so I'm probably gonna go with rather have a beer or dump bucket.
Let's go rather have a beer, because there's a slim chance. Like, I wish this was longer episode and I'd just make the drink right now and we could try it. And like, you know,
I think the rather have a beer fits for this one because it's, I guess theoretically, if you used good cognac and good creme de menthe, like maybe Tempest Fugit makes a brand or a bottle of it or something like that. One of those good kind of like craft liqueur producers, like you could see it being good if you use good ingredients. It probably wasn't good back in the 70s heyday of the disco drinks.
Right.
Okay, next up we have, as you can probably tell from the neon green color, we have the Midori Sour. How do you guys feel about a Midori Sour?
It's fine. And I'm assuming this is like the non-egg white version, right?
Of course.
So I'd rather have a beer.
I might say happy hour special.
Yeah,
because like I would rather have that than an amaretto sour, because even though it's sweet, it's still going to be more tropical and fresh.
Right, I guess. Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually had a Midori sour, but I know I like the flavor of Midori kind of.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I remember having Midori sour at like a wedding, like right after I had turned like 21 or something like that, and I actually really liked it. But again, that was a completely like uninformed opinion of like what a good drink is and should be, you know. But I mean, maybe that counts for something. Like if you don't know any better and you think it tastes pretty good, maybe that's a sign that it's not quite that bad. I don't know.
Right. Well, and plus you're 21 too, right? So a little sweeter things kind of like you're more acceptable of those.
Yeah.
Accepting of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up we have, and this one threw me for a loop, the Ding-a-ling.
Okay.
Which I looked up based on like your video where you did a shot of it, but I didn't see like is it even a real drink? I didn't see much out there about it other than like Last Barman's Poet stuff.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a drink at the time somebody made it a drink.
Right. And it's like only
okay.
on one website I can find, or two websites, and they're both like old school websites that haven't been updated forever. So if I remember right, is that the Sprite with vodka and peach schnapps?
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
That's definitely dump bucket. I mean, you're just drinking peach. It's just basically peach Sprite at the end of the day.
Right.
And it makes it so much sweeter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the vodka is just filler to give it more, so you get drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so
Yeah.
sweet. It's just no thank you.
So
I'd rather enjoy a Vesper martini.
Yes, there we go. That's a much classier alternative.
This is the drink for 18-year-olds who snuck into the bar who are ordering cocktails because they want to look like they're older.
Right.
Right.
And it's
right.
awful.
That's probably a lot of these drinks, I would think, too, probably. Okay, next up.
But I mean, in the disco days, 18-year-olds were allowed to drink, weren't they?
I would assume so, yeah.
I think
that's a good point.
18 was still the drinking age at that point.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Man, things have changed a lot over the past 50 years or so.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 50.
Now you gotta buy. Now you gotta
Isn't
be
that
21
crazy?
to even buy cigarettes.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got the Godfather, which is a 2-ingredient drink, something of a rarity. It's Scotch and Amaretto. Any thoughts about the Godfather?
We enjoy it.
Top shelf.
Top shelf.
Okay.
I hope there's more than just dessert cocktails in our top shelf.
How do you guys like to make it? Is it equal parts, or is it like 2-to-1 Scotch and Amaretto?
I like almost 2 to like 1.25. You know, just a smidge over 1 part Di Serono.
And it depends on what Scotch you use too.
I agree with that too.
But I mean, I think equal parts or any variation of 1 to 2 or 2 to 1 is good. I don't think the ratios can mess with this one too much either.
When at work, I use Johnny Walker Black, and
I was just going to ask what Scotch you guys like. Yeah.
That's at work, but here, what did we try it with? I forget.
Lagavulin 8.
Yeah, and so you kind of need a little bit more of that Di Serono to kind of
so the 1-to-1 ratio with the Lagavulin is nicer because it's very peaty.
Yeah.
Right. It does seem like one that would like with some of those really peatier scotches, it does seem like that could end up maybe throwing off the balance, way out of whack, and like potentially even just being a waste of like some of that really good scotch, like if you're just going to dump in a bunch of syrupy amaretto in it too.
Right.
Yeah, but the great thing about the peaty scotch is the syrupy part of the amaretto kind of fades. It kind of dies into the peat.
Okay.
And we're using Di Serono. We're not using like the Paramount Amaretto.
Right.
It's a little bit, it holds up.
Right. But there are scotch heads out there who'd be like, do not make this cocktail with a good scotch. Like, I mean, it's everybody's tastes.
Right.
Okay.
It's up to you. It's your drink. Drink it how you like it.
Right. Okay, next up, we've got the Tom Collins, which is one of the few drinks that I've had of these disco drinks that I've had somewhat recently. The Tom Collins is not a bad drink. How do you guys feel about it?
Do you know what a Tom Collins is?
I do, but I don't remember.
So it's just gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and soda water.
Oh yeah.
So super light, super easy drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I say either. I think Old Standby is good for it because it is. I mean, it's just like if you go somewhere and you don't know what you want, like you just got to a bar and you just want to get something down. I think that's a good cocktail to have.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust this bartender yet. Let me order something simple, but still slightly elevated, and we will see how it goes. And I agree. I think it's a standby.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot for it too. And I agree with like it kind of being a little bit of a bartender's test, because then you can kind of see, are they using fresh lime juice or like some sort of a sour mix, or maybe even perhaps just putting like Sprite or lemon soda in there instead.
Definitely one of those ones where it's fun to like change up the gins too, especially, try a London Dry, try, one of the special Hendrix ones, because you're not going to really choose a bad one. You're just all going to be a little bit different and kind of give you a little different flavor.
Right.
All right. Next up, we have the Sex on the Beach. which I know you guys did in your Barman's Poet episode. How do you guys feel about the sex on the beach?
Dump it.
See, again, okay, if we're doing the 80s style, then either dump bucket or rather have a beer. I liked it more than everyone else did that episode. I didn't mind it. But I guess we're dumping it. So.
All right. Riley's pretty insistent, so we'll throw that in the dump bucket.
Yeah.
What was the
Have you had one?
like what I have not had one, I don't think. Unless maybe like years ago and I don't remember it.
Right.
What like can you describe it? Like what was the taste profile like?
It's like a tequila sunrise without the tequila.
Well, it's peach schnapps, orange juice, and vodka, right?
And grenadine.
And grenadine. Yeah.
So it's like a tequila sunrise without the tequila, and the tequila is the only thing that saves that drink.
Right.
So putting vodka with it is just.
Yeah, like I said, I think that drink has a lot of potential. You know, you got orange, you got peach, which always goes well together. Now it's just finding the right balance. You know, like okay,
pH balance that orange juice, make it a little bit more sour, take out some of the sweetness, and then we can talk. But as it stands, as you would have ordered it in a bar in the disco era, absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's also like I feel like it's not notorious in a way, but like it's a drink everyone at least knows and has heard of because the name is Sex on a Beach. You know,
right.
And I feel like I've definitely seen. Like, do you guys know Wet Willie's, like those daiquiri bars, where like they have like the slushy style daiquiris? I feel like I've seen a Sex on the Beach daiquiri slushy as well.
Sure.
Which might be good.
Yeah.
That might be good. But to me, a Sex on the Beach, I want it to be rum. I don't want it to be vodka. And whenever somebody says Sex on the Beach, I just think of sand in areas, and I'm walking, and I hate that. No, it's a sensory thing for me. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cocktails where the name is better than the drink.
The name is terrible.
Well, it stands out. Everyone remembers that, right?
Everybody knows what it is.
Because like when you first hear it and you're like a little kid, you're like, wait, what? I gotta say the word sex and order a drink at the same time. Holy shit.
You were ordering a Sex on the Beach as a kid?
Well, you know. A young adult.
Girls living that bartender life from a young age.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Next up, we have the Grasshopper. How do you guys feel about a Grasshopper?
Are we doing the ice cream version or the non-ice cream version?
I think either way, it's a good standby.
I think good.
I'll let you guys pick.
Yeah. I bet either way is still a good old standby. We went to so we live in Iowa. We live on the border of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. And in Wisconsin, there's a lot of supper clubs. If you don't know what a supper club is, it's just an old school steakhouse. They have old school recipes, and ice cream drinks you go there for ice cream drinks. And
that's your dessert.
Yeah. So we got one, and a pink squirrel and a Charlie Brown. But yeah, Grasshopper's good. I mean, mint ice cream.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. So
even mint heavy cream, it's still like melted ice cream. So you're good either way.
But when you say ice cream drink for people, is that basically just like a milkshake, or is it different in consistency? Okay.
No, it's basically a milkshake. They put the liquor and the ice cream in the blender.
You just blend it together. So yeah.
It actually that version of it sounds really good. It kind of sounds like a boozy McFlurry almost.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Absolutely what it is.
McDonald's would triple their money if they just added booze to McFlurries.
But that would require their ice cream machines to work. So
true.
Yeah, true. Okay, next up, Riley, you mentioned it just a moment ago. We are talking about the Tequila Sunrise.
I'd rather have a beer.
I'd rather have a beer. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only reason it's not a dump bucket is because the tequila gives it flavor.
Yeah.
Right.
But after that, you know,
it's still too sweet.
Still too sweet. Yeah.
It's a pretty drink though.
Yeah.
Just like the Sex on the Beach. I mean, they are very pretty, but still rather have a beer.
Yeah. Tequila Sunrise, I have made a version, or like kind of like a classed up version of a Tequila Sunrise. It was a tequila sour basically, but instead of the grenadine on the bottom, it was Campari on the bottom. So you still had that layered orange to red effect, but you didn't have the exceeding sweetness from that grenadine. And that was actually really good. I thought the Campari kind of just really worked nicely with the rest of those ingredients.
He's going to make that as soon as we end this, because I saw in his eye, there was a twinkle there. It was like, I'm ready.
It sounds super good.
Love it. Next up on our list, we have the Harvey Wallbanger. You guys familiar with the Harvey Wallbanger?
So Harvey Wallbanger's orange juice with Galliano layered on top. So vanilla, star anise is what Galliano is. So
And is that
I've had it before.
There's nothing else?
I'm almost like 95% sure. So if you want to fact check me there. So
I believe you. And actually, I'm super impressed by your bartender knowledge. But I'm also just like kind of like, how is that a drink? Like there's just not enough there.
Right. Because it's like, I mean, I guess you could put it in the whole low ABV brunch kind of cocktail thing, right? Because Galliano is probably only it's 42%. So it is high, but you're not putting like an ounce and a half. I think you're just like, you just float like half an ounce or 3/4 on top. So it just kind of gives your orange juice a little bit of different flavor. So
it does sound like
I haven't had
cocktail,
one. Yeah, I haven't had one forever, but I like Galliano. So I would say rather have a beer, borderline happy hour special. But
I would say we could put it into happy hour special because I think the Galliano, while this probably is a very sweet cocktail, I think there is some dimension in there with the sour anise and the vanilla. So I would be willing to give this one a shot.
Well, especially like I said, for brunch, you're eating something like you're drinking a glass of orange juice with just a little bit of something. So a little punch up.
All right, sounds good. Next up, we have the Kamikaze, which I believe you guys did in shot form not that long ago, right?
Yep.
Yes.
That was another one in the episode. And I've seen this, I think back in the 80s, if I remember correctly, or the disco era, it was more of a drink than it was a shot. And I think in the 90s, it kind of switched over to a shot. But I could be completely wrong about that.
Right.
I think you're right about that. I remember having it as a shot, not as a, like this is, in this picture, it's being served in like a martini glass. I'm definitely much more familiar with it as a shot.
Yeah. It's definitely a dump bucket for me.
I mean, yeah, we can call it a dump bucket, but I'd drink it. Like, it's like if I'd rather have a beer, but we can call it a dump bucket.
I get one. Okay. This is my one.
Yeah, that's your one. You can have that. I took Sex on the Beach. You can take that one.
It's just, I'd rather have a gimlet. That's the thing. I'd rather have a gimlet. That's the whole thing,
Gin. I'd rather have gin, period.
Right.
Like if it's vodka, I don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. Vodka is just boring to me. Any drink is probably going to be better with another spirit in there instead.
Absolutely.
All right. Next up, we have the Blue Hawaiian, which is, as you can see here in this pic, it's very blue and it looks very tropical. Have you guys ever had a Blue Hawaiian?
Yeah, we did.
We did the blue. We did the Blue Hawaii and the Blue Hawaiian. I think that's.
I don't know which one's which. But either way, I think both of them would be a happy hour special. If I was in the right frame of mind and if I was in the right place, I'd drink it.
Yeah, like I was to say either happy hour or like yeah. Like I'm not gonna order it here in Iowa because no.
I mean, there are a couple bars in Des Moines that we go to.
Okay, let me rephrase. In Eastern Iowa.
Right.
There's a couple of tiki bars in Des Moines and stuff, and I bet they probably make a really good one. But again, we're basing this off 80s, 70s styles. So yeah, it'd be fine.
I'd still drink it.
Yeah. Okay, next up, we have parents at home, cover your kids' ears. We have the Orgasm, which, as I understand from just doing research for this, there's like two versions of this drink out there. One's called like the Screaming Orgasm, but this particular one is just the Orgasm and it's a shot. Is that correct? Is that what you guys did in your video?
Well, we did it as a shot, but when I did research on it, it's either a shot or a cocktail. And from what I could gather, it's just a White Russian with Baileys.
Instead of vodka or in addition to everything else?
I think if you do the shot, you don't do the vodka, but if you do the drink, you use the vodka, because that's how I made it.
Yeah,
I made it with the vodka. So that's all it seemed to me was. So
either way, I'd rather have a White Russian.
Right. That's the thing. Yeah. Because the Bailey's it's a little too much.
Yeah.
I think. But I'd say rather have a beer. Like, it's fine. Like, if someone ordered it for me, I wouldn't be mad. I just be like, okay, I'll drink this or shoot it.
Yeah, and so you mentioned, talking about the vodka versus Bailey's or whatever. A lot of those shooters, you think you're doing a shot and it's going to be strong or whatever, but But a lot of those shooters like SoCo in lime or whatever, like that's not full strength whiskey. And it sounds like this is another one where it kind of falls into that same category where it's not a full strength or foolproof shot in there.
Yeah, exactly. You're just kind of doing like these lower ABV shots and stuff like that. So I guess I get it because you're not doing pulls of bourbon.
Right.
So you're not getting super drunk by just doing a shot. But I get the why you'd want to do it, like the why, because like, oh, let's just do a round of shots, it's something sweet, get it out of the way.
This one, the drink the drink falls short from the name. This drink exists. People order this drink because they want to say, can I have an orgasm?
Right. They want to be cool.
Why do I get the feeling that like if you're a bartender, you've probably made dozens of these shots or shooters or whatever they're rightly called, that you've made dozens of them for like bachelorette parties?
Absolutely. Like, can I get an orgasm because I won't have any more for the rest of my life type thing,
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up we have the pina colada. How do you guys feel about pina coladas?
Love them. Don't care. Top shelf.
That's that.
It's sweet. It's sweet. I don't care that it's sweet. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. And I love it. I love coconut. I love pineapple. I love everything in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carl,
I enjoy it. No, I can't.
I was very excited about this. Every time I think about ordering one of these, I'm like, yeah, I want one. And then I never order it because a margarita sounds better, and it makes me sad every time. Like you have that, you have that little bit of buyer's remorse as soon as your drink comes out. You're like, oh man, but I could have had a pina colada.
Right. Yeah, it's a good drink. It's just not a lot of places make them where I want to order one, right? Because you have to have a blender, and Mexican restaurants, at least here in Iowa, they always offer, but I don't want them making it because their margaritas are half-ass. So it's like I want to go somewhere I know they'll make a good one.
Right. Where I get to but then at the same time, like the ones at Mexican restaurants are fine. They're good.
I don't know.
I used to work in a Mexican restaurant, so like I was making pina coladas left and right. And I loved it.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the Alabama Slamma. How do you guys like an Alabama Slamma?
Dump it.
I hate Southern Comfort with a passion. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's like, I get it. Again, if you're 21 years old, it probably tastes amazing because you got some juice, you got some sweetness, you got some little other character, but
it tastes like cough syrup.
Yeah. No, it just tastes like cough syrup. So I think it could be wayly improved, but where do you even start?
And is it worth it? It's called the Alabama Slammer. Like that doesn't sound like it's even worth redeeming.
Right.
It's a slammer because it doesn't taste good, so you slam it. Like that's it.
Yeah, it just feels like a spring break drink, probably so many people go down to like Gulf Shores or like, Florida, and they're just like hammering these things all day, and all that sugar, I'm with you on the dump bucket for this one. All right, next up, we have the Singapore Sling. How do you guys feel about a Singapore Sling?
Is there anything above the top shelf?
No.
Singapore Sling is great.
But yeah, no, top shelf, 100%. I'd rather have that than a Long Island.
Yes.
If we're talking, like multi-spirit cocktail, I think it's very well balanced. And if you can use like premium pineapple juice in it and grenadine, it's even better. So
it's balanced, it's complex. You could drink multiple if you wanted to, because it's not too sweet.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to be one of the few drinks from the disco drink canon that has made it out of, that era largely intact. Like you can probably go to any decent tiki bars around the country and get a Singapore Sling, and it probably isn't much different than how they were serving it, in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So it's enjoyable. Since we've done it on our show, on our episode, we've had like it 2 or 3 times, and it's super good. So I enjoy it thoroughly. I cannot wait to enjoy it like when it's 90 degrees outside.
Yes.
Yeah. That is saying a lot, because if I'm not mistaken, there's a ton of ingredients in there. So the fact that you enjoyed it enough that you're willing to pull down and get out all those ingredients and make it is a pretty high compliment. All right. Next up we have, and this is a tricky one.
Dump bucket. Dump bucket.
Don't even let the
I
man
can see the
finish.
picture. I can see the picture. Dump bucket.
Yeah, for those who aren't as tuned in as Riley is, this is the Three-Toed Sloth, which I had trouble finding any pictures for. I had trouble locking down a recipe for outside of the one that you guys posted with your YouTube video. Can you Carl, walk us through what the Three-Toed Sloth actually is?
It's a layered shot, and it is dark rum,
Slow gin,
and
apple
schnapps. Horrible.
And the reason you couldn't find a picture of it is because, like the Dingling, it's not a real drink. Somebody made it because
they wanted to I'm going to try to create this drink that doesn't exist. And if this is what they came up with, I never want to have another one of their drinks ever again.
Yeah. It's awful.
It is. It's
the one piece of media I found for it was like a YouTube short that someone posted where they did it as like a stirred cocktail over a large rock of ice. And the guy used apple brandy instead of apple schnapps. And it seemed like he was trying to upgrade it a little bit. But still, the combination just did not sound like it was going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm not a huge slow gin fan. It just has this kind of off-putting taste for me.
Yeah,
so.
it definitely gives you medicine tastes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's mixed correctly, I'm sure slow gin is good. But also, we could only find low end slow gin, like bottom shelf. There were only two options in this entire city. I went to every store where you can buy liquor trying to find slow gin, and I could only find two different varieties, and the better of the varieties was Paramount.
Oh, okay.
So,
but it's also like, is there a high end?
Is there one?
Is there one? We don't know. So
there is actually that, like Plymouth makes a high end slow gin. And there's a couple in New York too, like New York distilleries that make gin that also have started making a slow gin as well.
Slow gin.
So there are upgrade versions out there. It doesn't sound like that would be enough to save this drink though.
Exactly.
Okay, next up, coming in, our second to last one, we have the Velvet Hammer. How do you guys feel about the Velvet Hammer?
I'd call it a standby.
I stand by. If you call it top shelf, we would have words at that point.
No.
But
a Velvet Hammer tastes like melted ice cream.
Yeah.
And I'm here for ice cream in all of its forms. Thank you.
I think this is another one. If you made it into an ice cream drink, it would be really good too.
Yep.
But it's fine. Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of the same as. Didn't somebody mention putting it in a blender? That would be delicious.
Yeah.
But also, it's like a White Russian where if you want something sweet at the end of your night, it's good. But I would still rather have a White Russian.
Okay. Yeah, this seems like another one where McDonald's would make a killing on it if they could sell like a boozy McFlurry version of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, what you do is McDonald's does one, and then like Wendy's does the other one, right? So like one does the Velvet Hammer and one does like a Grasshopper, right? So you can just have to go to each different.
Well, I mean, McDonald's does a Grasshopper. It's just not boozy, and you can only get it in March.
Right. I know. That's what I'm saying.
You know, if you're talking though, like if Wendy's is going to do it, they could use the Frosty as the base of it.
That's what I'm saying.
In place of the creme de cacao. I think you're onto something there, Carl.
Yeah. So maybe I should talk. If anyone from Wendy's and corporates watching this, get a hold of us and
hit us up.
We can work something out.
Carl and Riley want to do some branded social content for you guys.
We'd be called the biggest sellouts in the world if we did corporate deals with Wendy's.
Hey, I would not turn down that Wendy's money if it was offered.
No,
Our last drink of the day, the Long Island iced tea. How do you guys feel about a LIIT? I
know whereabouts you're going to put it, so I'm going to go with you wherever you want it to be.
It's a top shelf for me.
Okay.
And I know this sounds super stupid because it's usually made with like cheaper quality ingredients, which is still fine. But like, if you shake your Long Island, it makes it so much better. But again, if we're talking about the 80s version, I still drink that because again, there is still at least.
Yeah. I've never met a Long Island iced tea that I wouldn't drink.
Right.
And I think that's the test of these drinks is if you, wherever you go, if you order it, you should be able to get something palatable.
Yeah.
And a Long Island iced tea gets you where you need to go quickly.
Right.
But even if the ratios are off, it's
Yes.
even if the ratios are a little bit off, it's still drinkable. Even if they mix everything into one and just go straight like we used to do, the Long Island iced tea mix that you can buy in a bottle. Sure, I'll drink it.
Yeah.
As a bartender,
I'm
Carl,
down for
do
'em.
you hate making them? Like if you get a bunch of people ordering them, does that drive you crazy?
Actually, it's not that bad because it's super fast because it's all in my well. All I gotta do is not move, right? So it's all right there. It's just like 2 bottles at a time. Quick shake, pour it in a glass. And the reason I really don't mind doing it is because most people have never had a shaken Long Island iced tea, and they try like, oh, this is actually really good, because they order it because they just expect something kind of just
Boozy.
But then they gave it to shaken, they're like, oh, this is even smoother than I thought, So that kind of excitement that I see from people gives me a little bit more like, I'm not mad about making it, even though I'm not really over bad because it's easy.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the primary difference between the shaken and versus one that's just built in the glass? Like it's more aerated, it's just a little bit more lively, or like what is the difference?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like everything is incorporated better. Like,
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you just pour it all in and you're dumping everything on top of each other, you kind of have to stir it and it's not incorporated. I think the incorporation, the aeration kind of drive down some of the harshness from the booze itself, so you're kind of rounding out those notes and now you're getting a blended drink that tastes good. Because I'm even blending the lemon juice and the simple syrup. Then all I do is add Coke on top. So you're incorporating all together. I think it just balances all out a lot better.
And for something that has that much booze in it to taste less boozy than like a rum and Coke, sign me up.
All right,
Cheap
I like
date.
it.
Cheap date.
Yeah, this is great though. I think we might need to get Carl. We might need to get you and Vino to talk about the Long Island iced tea because he was saying how much he hates the Long Island iced tea when I recorded one of these with him. And he said he was like, that was an instant dump bucket for him because he's just not a fan, I guess.
Well, see, if people have a bad experience with these drinks, they're not going to want to drink them ever again. I mean, and that's with disco drinks because they are so common or were so common. People, if you have a bad experience with it, they immediately go into your dump bucket.
Yeah.
So Vino, did you have one too many ones?
Yeah, Vino.
Tell us about it, bud.
Tell us why. We're here for you. We're here to listen.
All right, Carl and Riley, that is the end of our list. How do you feel about where everything stands at this point? Do you feel like it's accurately representing how you feel about these disco era drinks?
It's accurate enough to my wife's likeness.
You didn't concede that much. Is there something you would like to change?
We're good.
Are you sure?
We're way good. But once we end this film, and then we're going to argue about why did we put this one here?
He's going to be here all week. I can't believe you put that one.
Yeah.
Now people are going to think I like this drink.
Sorry, boss. I can't come into
good
work
list
today. I'm still worked up about disco drinks.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the way we have everything, you got 5 on top, 5 on the bottom, and everything's spread out through. I think that's a good representation of representation of the disco cocktail world, right? Like, the
there's
ones,
some good ones,
and there's some
real
crappy
bad ones,
ones.
and
Right.
everything else is good in between.
Right.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. For people out there who are watching, we are going to put a link to this tier maker template in the comments. So if anyone else wants to take a crack at ranking their own disco drinks, you can see how it stacks up compared to Carl and Riley's. But I will just say thank you again, Carl and Riley. We really appreciated you guys coming on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having us, Joel. We appreciate it. It's fun.
All right. Yeah, I had a blast too. Thanks so much. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.